the orchid stuff. If people want to join in, whatever. So, where did I put the tweezers? In order to do this, I have a Wilsonara orchid. This is an Oncidium alliance intergeneric hybrid plant. Okay, see you later. Well, I'll still do the live feed. Once I find those darn tweezers. Yes, I hope people watch the orchids getting pollinated. So, we have this very large Oncidium alliance plant. Well, this is some of my mother's crap just sitting around my room. I don't really collect willow tree angels. But anyway, we have this plant. You can see it has numerous buds that are going to open up soon, and we have 2 open flowers. I actually like the orchid being elevated because we can actually see into the orchid flower. We have the column here. We have the pollen cap right. Actually, where are my tweezers? If I find those, I can use them to point. Riley, you're not going in there. There's wet paint and you're gonna... Oh, here are the tweezers. Okay. So, a couple of things. One, we have the orchid flower with its column here. And then if we look down here... Oh yeah, that's my lizard. I like the lizard. I'll hide more than bread. The orchid column leads up to the top part, the whitish area up here is where the pollen will land. It's the stigmatic or receptive surface of the flower. And I have some Oncidium alliance pollinia stored in a container here. You can see there's several pollinia down in there in their pollen caps still. I allowed them to dry in the fridge before I stored them in the fridge. And I have one that I have rehydrated. So you can see the pollinia sitting in some water there. It should be fully rehydrated by now. I'm just trying to grab it carefully. Actually, let me use my real eyes to grab it. So real quick, the pollen is in this part here. It's a big mass of wax and pollen and other chemicals, mostly proteins that bind the pollen together. A pollinator would have this part of the pollinia stuck to it, and it would go around between the flowers. Now it looks like a bunch of balls just hanging there. I mean, it basically is the sperm of the plant. So what I'm going to very carefully do is I'm going to carry this over to the orchid. Alright, and we have our orchid here. And I'm going to very gently, it does sometimes help if I have the tweezers open and see how it's sticking. So this is the way things would happen in nature. The pollinator will go in and get the pollen on the receptive surface. It's not quite there yet, so I need to quickly adjust. The pollen has to be rehydrated for this purpose. It does actually help to hold the flower steady when you're doing this, which I made the mistake of not doing. But if you notice, I'm trying to get it onto a particular part of the flower. Okay, so now that I've gotten it in contact, I have to just make sure that it's really stuck to it, which is going to take a moment. Actually, if I can grab this with one finger while still keeping the camera steady. Okay. It should be right on target at this point. There we go. Okay. And so I've gotten the pollinia on there. And what I noticed with a lot of the Oncidium alliance flowers is that if you look, there are these like wing projections out here and right here. What I notice, oh hi goats. What I notice is that those wings clamp shut after the pollination occurs, almost like they're hugging the pollinia, and that's usually a sign that the pollination was successful. And so I'm just going to double check, make sure that oh come on, focus. Why can't this darn thing focus? There we go. So it looks like we're on the right spot. So we just have to hope that in the coming days, the column here will swell, those wings will shut, and then eventually this ovary here will begin to swell as it fills with seeds that are fertilized and developing. So that's basically the pollination of the Wilsonara. This is the Wilsonara Hilda plum tree. It's really cool because the color of the flower lightens as the flower ages. They're sometimes called dancing lady orchids because you can kind of see how it looks like a dancing lady. Usually the non-intergeneric hybrids look even more like dancing ladies. You can also tell that this is a non-Oncidium alliance plant because of these really large pseudobulbs. This plant is actually doing really well.